Hello and welcome to math. Today we're going to do a little bit of reviewing of some fraction stuff because our next unit is all about ratios, proportions, probability, everything. All those things involve fractions. So the more we know about fractions and things we can do with fractions, the better. Okay, so we're going to review a whole bunch of different things about fractions today. All right, so the first thing is we're going to write these decimals as fractions. Okay, so to be able to do that, you have to remember what your place values are. So remember the first place value after the decimal is called your tenths place. The second place value, where this 4 is, that's your hundredths place. The third place value is your thousandths place. The fourth one is called your 10,000ths place. That's not on here, but and then it keeps going on from there. Okay? So if I ever have a decimal and I have to write it as a fraction, all I do is I write what it is, right? So this is a 5, and that's in the tenths place because it's in my first decimal place. So to write this as a fraction, I would write 5 over 10 because it's in the tenths place. All right, so then I got to say to myself, all right, self, can I simplify this? And I can simplify this because 5 over 10 is the same thing as a half. Hopefully you already know that 0.5 is a half, but if it was any other number, you could do the same thing. Like if it was 3 over 10, you would do, or 3 tenths, you would put 3 over 10, right? So basically you're reading this decimal as it's written mathematically. All right, so this is 0.25, right? So 0.25 is the 25 hundredths. It's in the hundredths place. That's where it ends, in the hundredths place. The hundredths place is my second decimal place, right? So to put this as a fraction, I would put 25 over 100. And then I would say, well, can I simplify that? Well, yes, I can simplify that, right? 25 over 100 simplifies to 1/4. And the reason why is because 25 goes into 100, right? 25 divided by 25 gives me 1. 100 divided by 25 gives me 4. So 1/4 would be my answer. Let's try another one. Let's do this one over here at the end. 85 hundredths, 0.85. That's 85 hundredths. It ends in my second decimal place. That's my hundredths place, right? So if I wanted to write that as a fraction, I would write 85 over 100. And then I would say, all right, can I simplify that? Well, yeah, I can because these both end in a 5 and a 0. Whenever a number ends in a 5 and a 0, I could always divide it by 5. So 85 divided by 5 is 17. 100 divided by 5 is 20. So then that would be my final answer, 17 over 20. When it's repeating decimals, that's where it's a little different. Okay, so like 0.33333333333333333, that is repeating, right? Any repeating decimal is over 9. That's like the one exception to the rule. So 0.3 repeating, that would be 3/9. And I could simplify that because 3 goes into 9, right? So 3 divided by 3 would be 1. 9 divided by 3 would be 3, 1/3, right? So that's how you do this. Go ahead, pause the video, try these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on your own, see how you do, all right? So pause the video, see how you do. Unpause it when you're done to check your work. Pause the video, try them on your own. Unpause when you're done to check your work. All right, hopefully you paused the video, hopefully you did your work, and hopefully yours looks something like this. I didn't realize 0.5 was on there twice, so that should have been a give me, all right? But the other ones, you just write it exactly how it sounds. This is 4 tenths, 4 over 10. You can simplify that because they're both even, 2/5. 6 repeating, remember repeating goes over 9. That's the one exception to the rule. 6 over 9 could simplify to 2/3 because they can both be divided by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2, 9 divided by 3 is 3. 75 hundredths, 75 over 100, and we can simplify that because they can both be divided by 25. 75 divided by 25 is 3, 100 divided by 25 is 4. And then this is 8 tenths, 8 over 10, and they're both even, so you can simplify it to make it 4/5. Okay? So that is how to change a decimal to a fraction. Well, our next one is simplifying fractions. Okay, simplifying fractions, we kind of just did up here, right? So when you're simplifying fractions, what you're really doing is trying to find the greatest common factor that can divide into both numbers. So like this 2 over 10, I'm trying to say like what's the greatest common factor that can go into both of these? Well, when they're even like this, whenever the number is even number, you can always divide it by 2, right? Some other facts, if it ever ends in a 5 or a 0, like this one, they both end in 5. If they ever end in a 5 and 0, you can always divide by 5. If they ever both end in a 0, you can divide by 0, right? So 2 over 10, the only thing that goes into 2 are 2 and 1, right? So I can divide this by 2. So I'm going to divide this whole fraction by 2, the top and the bottom. 2 divided by 2 will give me 1. 10 divided by 2 would give me 5. So that would be 1/5. That would be my answer. 3 over 18. The only thing that goes into 3 is 1 and 3, right? And 1 won't change anything. So I'm going to divide this thing by 3. I'm going to divide this by 3. 3 divided by 3 would give me 1. 18 divided by 3 would give me 6. So that's the same thing as 1/6. 5 over 45. Well, the only thing that goes into 5 is 1 and 5. So I can divide these by 5, right? 5 divided by 5 would give me 1. 45 divided by 5 would give me 9. So that'd be 1/9. All right. So you're going to see how you do it. You pick there. These two are also just prime numbers. 11 and 7 are prime. The only thing to go into it are 11 and 7 right here, right? So you're going to divide those by 11 and 7. But let's say you don't have a prime number in the top. So like 12. So 12, what are my factors of 12? Well, I can do 1 times 12, right? I can do 2 times 6, or I could do 3 times 4. So those are all my factors of 12. So what's the biggest factor that I have in common with 48? Well, can 12 go into 48? Let's see here. We can always check that first, the biggest one first. So let's go open up our calculator here. Let's see, 48 divided by 12. That works. I get 24, right? So I'm going to divide these by 12. 12 divided by 12 is 1. 48 divided by 12 is, oh, I put 2. 48 divided by 12 is 4. I thought that sounded funny. So this will be 1/4. Okay? 8. What factors go into 8? Well, for 8, you can do 1 times 8, right? You could do 2 times 4. Those are the only things that go into 8, right? So we got to figure out which one I can divide into 50. So let's see here. Does 8 go into 50? Let's check our calculator here. 50 divided by 8. Does that give us a whole number? It does not. So 8 doesn't work. 4 doesn't work because then 4 would be 44, 48. But we can show you here. 50 divided by 4. That doesn't work. That gives me a decimal, right? So I can do 50. That's the other. Next one would be 2. That's the only one I haven't done yet, right? 50 divided by 2 gives me 25. There we go. That works, right? So I'm going to divide both of these by 2 because that's my greatest common factor between these two, all right? So I'm going to divide by 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 25 divided by 2, or sorry, 50 divided by 2 is 25. So my answer here is 4 over 25, okay? This one would be 1 over 11, by the way, and this one would be 1 over 7. Because the greatest common factor was 7 for this one and 11 for that one. All right, but that's simplifying fractions. Okay, I saw some people struggling with this in our last unit. All right, I just wanted to make sure that we can do this because this is a pretty important skill to know how to do. These are mixed numbers. So when you have a mixed number, that means you have a whole number and a fraction that's attached to it. So this is 1 and 2/10. 1 and 2/10, right? So the way you could write that is you can write it as a decimal the way exactly how it sounds. 1.2, because it's 1 and 2/10. It's in the tenths place. 10, it's over 10, right? The other way you can do it is you can use your calculator, and it's going to be 1 as my whole number, but now I have to get my decimal number, right? So then I would do 2 divided by 10, and I get 0.2, right? So then that would be 1.2. When it's not a 10 down here, you can't do what we did here because it's not showing the tenths place. This is the 18th place, which really doesn't exist. It's going to be counted in tenths place, but let's do that one. So for that one, my whole number is the number in front. That's still going to stay. So that 2 is still going to stay there, right? But to get to my decimal, I have to divide my fraction. So I'm going to do 3, to clear this out. I'd have to do 3 divided by 18, and I get 0.166666 repeating. So this would be 2.16, and then the 6 is repeating. So I put a line over the 6 that shows that 6 is repeating. Okay? This next one, 3 and 5/15. What would that be as a decimal? Well, 3 is going to be my whole number. What's going to be my decimal value? Well, that's going to be the 5 over 15. Let's see what that's going to be. So let's see, 5 over 15 is 0.3 repeating. So it'd be 3.33 repeating, right? Or you could just put 3.3 repeating. That means the same thing. All right, do you see how to do that? So go ahead and pause the video. Try these two on your own. Remember, this whole number is going to be your whole number, and you're looking for your decimal value. So you just put this in your calculator, 4 divided by 12, and that'll give you your decimal. So go ahead and pause it, try these two on your own. Unpause it when you're done to check your work. Pause the video, try it on your own. Unpause when you're done. All right, so hopefully you paused the video and hopefully you got something like this with your work. 1.3 repeating and 4.7. 4 and 7/10. This one's in the tenths place, so that's an easy one. You can just write 0.7, right? Or put it in your calculator, 7 divided by 10, and you'll get 0.7, okay? So just remember that number in front stays your whole number, okay? And then the fraction becomes your decimal. All right, let's go on to the next thing. Okay, the next thing we're going to learn is multiplying fractions. Okay, so when you multiply fractions, the first thing you want to do is you want to see if you can simplify either fraction. It'll make your life easier. It's easier to simplify when it's small than when it's big. So if you simplify it first, it's going to help you out in the long run, okay? And when you multiply straight across. You're going to do the numerator, or the top, times the other numerator. And then you're going to do the denominator, or the bottom, times the other denominator, or bottom. Okay? So top times top, bottom times bottom. So, but the first thing you want to do is you want to simplify, and I'll show you why. Okay, so 1 over 10 times 2 over 10. Let's say I didn't simplify first. I would just go straight across. 1 times 2 is 2. 10 times 10 is 100. Now I would have to simplify this. Well, this is the only thing that goes into 2 is 1 and 2, so I have to divide these by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 100 divided by 2 is 50. Right? If I simplify first, it makes it a little bit easier. This one's not too bad because the numbers aren't terrible, but 1/10 I can't simplify. 2/10 I can simplify. Because they're both even, that would make this 1/5. So I could do 1/10 times 1/5, and when I do that, 1 times 1 gives me 1, 10 times 5 gives me 50. Okay? Let's do one where it's a little bit harder. You can see it more. Let's do this one down here. 4 twelfths times 10 over 20. So if I didn't simplify that, if I go straight across, numerator times numerator, 4 times 10 would give me 40. And then I would do 12 times 20. 12 times 20 gives me 240. So you can see these numbers are getting big, right? They're getting huge. And now I have to simplify this and go all the way down until I can't, my simplest fraction. But if I simplify first, so 4 over 12, the things that can go into 4 are 1 and 4 and 2 and 2, right? So does 4 go into 12? It does. So I can divide both of these by 4. So 4 divided by 4 would be 1. 12 divided by 4 would be 3, right? 10 over 20, can I simplify that? Yeah, I can. 10 goes into 20, so it would be 10 divided by 10, which would be 1. 20 divided by 10, which would be 2. And then now I can simplify it. 1 times 1 is 1. 3 times 2 is 6. So this decimal over here will simplify to 1/6. But it's a lot simpler to simplify 10 over 20 than it is 40 over 240. See what I'm saying? So it's always best to simplify first if you can. So you always want to check to see if you can simplify first. If you can simplify first, do that and then multiply, because then it's going to be a whole lot easier to simplify at the end and get your answer. Okay? Let's do another one. Let's do this one here. 7 over 21. Can I simplify that? Yeah, because 21 can be divided by 7, right? So 7 over 21, I'm going to write it up here. You guys can put it in the right box, but I just can't scroll down right now. 21 divided by 7 is 3. So that's the same thing as 1/3. All right, and I'm timesing that. A number next to parentheses means multiply by 6 over 18. All right, so what goes into 6? Well, 6 can be 1 or 6 or 2 times 3, right? So can 6, since that's my biggest factor for my top, can that go into 18? Yeah, it can, right? So 6 divided by 6 is 1. 18 divided by 6 is 3. So this is really 1/3 times 1/3. 1/3 times 1/3 would be 1 over 9. Top times top, 1 times 1 is 1. Bottom times bottom, 3 times 3 is 9. If I didn't simplify, you can see this is what I would do, right? I would do 7 times 6 would give me 42. And then 21 times 18 gives me 378. And then I would have to simplify that. And that's like a crazy long process, right? Because you have to find the greatest common factor between both of those, or just keep dividing by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2, all the way until you get to 1/9, right? So it's much easier to simplify first and then multiply. Okay, but when you multiply fractions, all you do is you multiply straight across. Go ahead and do these ones on your own, and then get it checked by me when you're done. Catch you next time. Bye.